All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary intergalactic interplanetary beings, as you see fit to call yourselves. Good day to you, too. We're looking at April 16th, 2022. Looking at 2:08 p.m. The moon is getting ready to go into void of course. The full moon intensity here on the Pacific West Coast time was 12:20ish. Let me look it up here for sure. 11:56 a.m. was the full moon in Libra. And happy whatever you celebrate, Passover, Good Friday, Easter weekend. Um, is there a Festivus? Happy Festivus if I missed you guys. Somebody. I don't know what you call that. This is the big one. Salute you for whatever your time of prayer and whatever significance that means. I wish you the best, you know. I'm always concerned around this holiday week, Easter, Ramadan, Passover, just the whole time, the time frame of it all there makes me a little nervous just because of the history of it all. There tends to be a lot of bloodshed. I was looking through, I don't have it right up on the screen here, but just a couple of years ago in Sri Lanka, there was hundreds of people killed in bombings. I believe those were mosque bombings. I'd have to double check on it, but Sri Lanka, just a couple of years ago. And we've seen this over and over again. And I always ask myself, it's like, who does that? You know, who does that? It's like, who blows up a wedding? Or who goes to the funeral and blows up the funeral? Well, they do that. Somebody's doing it because it's been done several times, over and over again. It's puzzling to me. It's like it takes homicidal sociopathic behavior to a whole nother level for me. It's like it's one thing to drone bomb your enemies or blow up your enemies or shoot up your enemy's church or mosque or synagogue. But it's another thing to then follow up as they're grieving at the funeral the next week or two and then blow up or bomb that funeral of the grieving people of the grieving of the dead from the previous. It's like, wow. Those are the times that we're in. I'm getting that feeling. I've had that feeling all week. I looked up at the little handy dandy. This is the Find Success Among the Stars. It's the 2022 Pocket Planner. Basically, it just gives you the what the stars and the planets are doing, the aspects. Aspects is the word I was looking for. So Thursday the 14th, Mars went into Pisces. That was just a couple days ago. And it's not a good sign for Mars. It's not a good position for Mars. Generally speaking, Pisces tends to be emotional. And Mars being the warrior and outverted, not introverted, extroverted, outverted. I made that shit up. And just generally speaking, these generalizations are prone for all kinds of errors. I admit, openly, you have to. Anybody that knows anything, you have to admit the errors. But it's not a good sign. And I'm connecting with my intuition, the Mars with the emotional on the Holy Week with my least favorite sign, the Scorpio. I love you, Scorpions. My least favorite astrological sign for the full moon to be in Scorpio. And people are saying, oh, dude, it's in Libra, bro. You got your data is all wrong, bro. Yes, I understand. It's been in Libra. The moon has been in Libra for days. Yes, you are correct. It also goes into void of course in just an hour, 2:57. West Coast Surfer Time, 2:57. Void of course, which means the moon is in a wobble in no man's land. And then it clicks into Scorpio. So we're dealing still with the intensity of the full moon in Scorpio in just a couple of hours for Easter Sunday and through Monday. So you have the revengeful, emotional warrior type of scenario that's staged in classic history. People love to fight in the time of prayer. What's up with that? That's a whole nother episode. That's a whole nother show. So, but that's not why I wanted to address this public service announcement. There's been some things that have been on my mind regarding young people, and specifically addressing some of these things. The word groomer has been used a lot, grooming our children. There is a feeling from parents that their children are in jeopardy, as we see case after case, week after week, state after state of teachers doing inappropriate things with students, having sexual relations with students over and over and over again. We've had like a dozen in Florida in the last year. I'd have to get on it to be exact, tossing that number out, but I was stunned how many teachers in Florida are been caught up in having sexual relations and fantasies with the students. That's not okay. And I think that it's very inappropriate. My personal belief is that to be talking about behind parents' backs at kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, to be talking about sexual identity, gender dysphoria, having all the things that are associated with that is not healthy. It's not okay. It makes our youth vulnerable. It makes our students vulnerable, and it makes the parents want to pull the students out of the schools, which we are and we have, and not put them back into the public school system, which is going to help. It's going to hurt the cause of these teachers unions that are pushing and backing that they can do anything they want in the classroom, and the parents have no say on the curriculum. They have no say on what their children, young babies, I mean, kindergarten through third grade, that's the Florida bill. You know, the one that they've been trying to smack down and smear is don't say gay. Hey, Disney came out and said, hey, don't say gay. And they do it at the Oscars, and oh yeah, this is some big, huge witch hunt out for the gay folks. No, it's not. No, it's not. Shame on you for promoting that narrative. Shame on you. Because that's not anything that has to do with the conservative, the protection of the kindergarten through the third grade, hands off talking about anything to do with sex. They don't need it. We didn't need it when we were that young. So that really is deeply disturbing to me as an independent. I consider myself spiritual. I'm not a fundamentalist, but I respect the religious rights of everyone. I try to respect the religious rights of everybody. And it's easier to say something like that than to actually put it into practice. You know, I don't want to be one of these like Governor Brown wishing everybody a happy Ramadan. It's like, hey, Dan and Kate, we wish you a happy Ramadan. It's like, Governor, are you Muslim? Governor Brown, or what? You're doing Ramadan this year? Are you fasting for 30 days, Governor Brown? Dan and Kate? You know, I mean, that's just empty virtual signaling. I mean, it makes you look like phony balonies. It just makes you look like ingenuine pieces of garbage trying to capitalize off some sort of virtual signal of a religion you know absolutely nothing about a religious people that you know absolutely nothing about. But you're going to wish them happy Ramadan, or you're going to wish them happy Passover, like Senator Merkley, right? Senator Merkley, you got to get that out there. You guys better post that. Happy Passover. Sir, are you Judaist? No, but happy Passover. Hey, the virtual signal goes. It's gross. It's sick. Stop. Stop with the identity politics. Stop with pretending you're something that you're not. How about you come across to the voters of who you are and talk to the people about what your real beliefs are, not virtual signaling of a handful of religious type of ideologies and holidays that mean absolutely nothing to you. But I digress. I want to briefly touch on this issue and dangers. It puts our youth in danger to be giving the power to anybody inside the school system to talk with our children, talk with our students. Our taxes are funding this establishment that you are trying to ostracize us and keep us out of. That's sick. That's just gross that anybody would sit there on national television and say it doesn't matter what parents think or what parents want taught. They got no right to have any say in it. That's what these teachers union spokespeople are saying on prime time. That's sick. It's gross. And it's immoral. It's unethical. It's all of those things. But it puts our youth in danger in another way. In the late 1990s, I worked in social services with at-risk youth. A couple different agencies, Salvation Army Greenhouse, which is now I think been taken over by Janus Youth Programs. Janus Youth Programs is a pretty impressive operation. There's Outside In here in Portland. Send them a check. There's New Avenues for Youth. They're doing good work. I just never appreciated the staff or the people that were working there. They're doing good work. But Outside In is outstanding. And I personally I did volunteer work at Outside In. Just like different little events, not for the payroll. I've had people say, I think there's a Kathy Oliver that's a director up there, and everyone always thinks I'm related to him, and somehow I got an inside thing at Outside In. I don't. My last name's Oliver, and I go by my last name, Oliver. But I worked with that. That population is 80 to 90% is lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. I don't know the LGBTI, LMNOP, all of that. You know, I don't want any disrespect. I just don't want to. It's like I can't remember. It's like it's gone from 2 or 3 to now 14 or 15. And hey guys, gals, people, non-binaries, no disrespect, but it's starting to get a bit much for the normies, and I'm not a normie, but it's a bit much for me too. But that population of at-risk youth that are out on the streets, many of them are there not because they want to be there. They're there because they've been rejected by their families. They've either come out and said, hey, I think I'm gay, and they're like, oh, we're going to pray for you. Ah! And I respect the religious, but I've seen the religious households drive children out of the home, and they end up in front of me in a assessment interview, which is what I was doing, and hearing their stories. Sometimes it's abuse. A lot of, I don't know all the numbers, I'm throwing stuff out, I'm throwing the words out, but a large number of the youth that are houseless, at risk, running the streets, or at least they were. I'm also going to say it was 20 years ago. I don't know the scene down there, but I kind of got a pretty good picture from working years down there 20 years ago. But they're falling through the cracks of the foster system. So the government is letting them down. They're being abused one way or another from house to house, family to family. Really tragic stories. The foster system is completely broke. It's really effed up. It's worse than you think. If you thought it was bad, it's worse than you think with the foster system. It's horrible. And there's not enough money or staff or heart and soul to take care of the youth. It exploits the youth. It sets them up to be sex workers. It sets them up into that shady underground of drugs, of prostitution, and exploitation of the wealthy elites here in Portland, Oregon. And I'm not going to drop names, but I got a lot of names. People you would recognize, Hollywood, filmmakers. I got a lot of names. People. They're exploiting my youth, our youth, the youth downtown. It's disgusting. And it needs to stop. I don't know what it is about Democrats that continue to allow this type of cycle to happen. It's like there's these things that older men are supposed to, or have always had younger boy toys. It's just, there's a lot of weird stuff going on there that I don't understand. It's unacceptable. I mean, and it for the conservative perspective, just let me pitch that out there. It's not about being anti-gay, because there is plenty of gay conservatives. You just got to look around. There's more and more that are coming out or outspoken and getting in front of the cameras. And I think that's positive. I think it helps. I know that, you know, some of the on the other side think it's all a betrayal of the LGBTQIT community. But it's about protecting our children. Okay, we need our children to feel safe. I have a young daughter. I want my daughter to be safe when I drop her off in the school. Okay, and my heart goes out to the youth that are in the shelters or in a transition, are working, going through this system, escaping a foster family. If you tell a youth it's okay to be transgender, it's okay to do whatever you want in middle school or even high school, it endangers them. It puts them in jeopardy, because they're going to go back home and take your advice, and they're going to be rejected by their family, whether it's the biological family or whether it's a birth family. Not always, but a certain portion of these young people that do that are going to end up on the streets, and they're in jeopardy. I have seen youth go from shiny suburban, clean complected, nice clothes in 90 days, 3 months, prostituting under bridges and scabbed up, strung out. 90 days with meth. And I think it's I'm calling it a turbo Nazi meth. I think it's a super meth. I don't even think it's the meth of the old days, which was bad enough. I mean, that shit's horrible. Anybody that's been doing it for 6 months, they got no teeth left. I mean, it's like, God, why would you do it? You get on it, and a lot of times, why do they do it? A lot of times they do it for survival. Because if you go to sleep, you're going to get robbed. If you go to sleep, you're going to get raped. If you go to sleep, you're going to whatever. So you can't go to sleep. You got to work security. You got to keep awake and be safe. It also heats you up. So when it's winter and it's cold and you're in a tent, wow, you are heated up. Go, go, go. So it's really a survival mechanism. But this new stuff that they've got with the fentanyl, and they're mixing that fentanyl. I mean, look at all these overdoses. I mean, the toxicology report of George Floyd was overdose levels of fentanyl and meth in like a speedball. I was calling it a speedball, and it's like, man, you're an old timer. We don't call that speedball. We call that something else. So apparently there's a new name. I don't even know what it is. We used to call the upper and the downer, like the cocaine and the chiva, the heroin, a speedball, right? Together, and you fire it, or usually they were firing it, but now you can smoke this shit. You could always smoke it, but it's horrible. It's horrible shit. And we don't want the youth getting in that. So let's not create an opportunity to lose more youth. That's really my closing bottom line. Is we don't want to disrupt the fragile family cell or single parent cell of what we have right now with the students. That's exactly what you're going to do. That's exactly what you are doing. By teaching that this is okay and the normal way, you're going to disrespect the parents' religious beliefs. You're going to disrespect everything about them. You're just kicking them to the curb and saying, fuck you, parents. We're the students. We're the teachers. We're the counselors. We're whatever you're calling yourselves. You don't know what the fuck you're doing, and you haven't had enough child psychology courses to know what the fuck you're doing. You don't have any street smarts. You haven't been helping homeless youth. I can tell you that right now. Because if you had been helping houseless youth, you'd know what the fuck is going on out there. And you don't. You're exploiting this for political measures, just like the teachers union and the Democrat and the liberals did, exploiting the corona pandemic to their advantage. You know you fucking did that, and you're dirtbags for it. You didn't need to do fear and hysteria for regime change and a coup. But you did. It's the only way. You had to destroy that economy. You had to get rid of the orange man. You had to do what you did with fear and hysteria. I resent that. I really resent what you did there. Not because I'm some Republican. I'm not. Not because I'm some huge Trump fan. I'm not. I'm an independent. I'm a green for 30 years. You know, that word doesn't even mean anything anymore. Democrats have, like progressive, they've taken the word and morphed it in to mean something totally different, and it's almost nihilist, meaningless now. Like the word green. It's like, oh, we're green. Oh, Exxon's green. Goo, goo, goo. Listen, we need domestic fuel. Don't get me started on domestic fuel argument because it has nothing to do with what I want to say. And what I wanted to say is, I've said it. It's about respecting the family cell. It's about keeping our youth safe. When you start to do things behind parents' backs, behind their care provider, whether it's a foster family or a grandma or a grandpa or whoever it is, you're disrupting a cell that violates, it potentially jeopardizes their shelter, and it kicks them into a system that does not have the funding or the means or the resources or the human resources to take care of and address these specific family cells. That's why I've been harping so harsh on Portland Democrats and Oregon Democrats to do more to take care of low-income families. We've got 15,000 low-income families that are in jeopardy of losing their housing, living paycheck to paycheck. Many of them are still recovering from long hauler from the corona, like myself. Many of them are still waiting to get in to see a doctor. You're going to wait 6 months to 8 months here in Portland to get into a primary care provider. Once you finally get that in that motion and get going that direction. I mean, it's absurd what's happening, and people have no clue. So, I think that's the rant. It's not about being homophobic. It's not about being transphobic. Drop those words when we're talking about parents, children, parents, youth, the students. It's not fair, it's not appropriate, it's not accurate. Because that's not the situation. And I just gave you a totally different perspective as a social worker. On the bottom of the totem pole, I was not a caseworker making $40 an hour. Those were my friends. I used to go drink with them. We'd all talk about the cases and cry. Literally. Cry. Let's not give the streets an opportunity to consume, devour, eat up our young students. All right? Okay. Be safe. Happy Holy Weekend, whoever you are and whatever you're doing. Take care. You like the new painting? I kind of like the new painting. I was thinking about, see this? Something like this. In here, kind of like maybe a little bit of bubbles, right? Because they're underwater. They're underwater. Peace out.